AM 590 KXSP Omaha's ESPN Radio. Pull them belts tight, because it's time for the front stretch. Presented by Kosiski Auto Parts at 50th and I Street.
Welcome back to the front stretch. I'm Dan Taylor, joined by Joe Kosiski and Andrew Kosiski as always. Bud's out today. I had a little bit of a scheduling conflict. On the phone with us, Delmer Friesen of Junction Motor Speedway. Delmer, how you doing tonight?
Good.
Delmer, you been having a good Christmas season?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's always a good. Christmas is always good.
Did Santa bring anything good, or was a lump of coal in the stocking again?
No, he brings me everything good every year.
That's good.
It's always good.
I got a lump of coal, but I don't mind so much. With the energy crisis, I'm going to cash that in for some pretty good money one of these days.
Yeah, it's colder there. You probably need that coal.
Heck yes. Well, let's talk about Junction Motor Speedway. What's 2013 looking like for you guys? Can you talk a little bit about your schedule?
We're going to do a lot of just the normal schedules that we had. We're going to run the SLMR 2 times this year. So far, we got a World of Outlaws book. It's not 100% deal yet, but looks like August 13th that'll happen. And then we have the NCRA and Mars coming together this year for the King of the Hill show on August 9 and 10. And then they'll be here on May 25th. And other than that, we got the ASCS show here on September 7th. And then we got one in May 24th, Memorial Weekend.
Delmer, can I ask you a question? Is MLRA part of your King of the Hill show this year? I heard you say Mars and NCRA. Is MLRA?
I haven't signed anything with them yet. I don't know yet. I went with NCRA and Mars because part of the, I've been with them for probably 8 years that I've done it with them.
Is NCRA going to be there in the spring by themselves in that May show, or is that going to be NCRA and Mars together?
No, NCRA by themselves, and then they're having a show in Wichita together. On Sunday, and mine will be on Saturday.
What 2 dates is your SLMR series going to be out there?
Oh, I wrote them down here, but I don't have them in front of me.
I'm trying to remember for you. I want to say August 25th they're going to be there, and they're going to be there in
August 25th.
June something, isn't it?
August 24th, isn't it?
August 24th? Yeah, it's a Saturday night. I know that. It's August 24th.
Right. I had everything in front of me, but that one I don't have in my latest schedule here. But
they're going to be back there in June, I believe, also.
Yes, right. Yeah, it's in June. I think it's on the 22nd of June.
Well, we had Kyle Burke on the show, and Kyle's a big racer in the SLMR series, and he was on the show 2 weeks ago and done a terrific interview, and he bragged up I-80 Speedway and Junction Motor Speedway, so that was real nice of him. And we're trying to put all the tracks on this year to talk about their schedules and what's going on with the SLMR series for all the show for the whole 3 months here that we're doing this.
We also talked in a little bit, we're going to play the interview, and we sat down with Kelly Boen, and he had a lot of good things to say about Junction Motor Speedway. Can you talk about him racing there sometimes, maybe some good stories you got of him?
Kelly Boen always made the night. No matter what happened, he was always happy. The guy was just very unusual. Probably not on the track as much, but in the pits, he was just a fun guy to be around every weekend. I have never, ever seen the man unhappy.
Oh, that's good to hear. It's something I've experienced in just the short year that I've been involved in this, is that there's usually a night or two when drivers aren't happy. It's good to know.
Everybody's got their given night, and stuff like that. But with Kelly, it was the same every night. It was wide open. There was no other way. And whether he won or lost didn't make any difference. He was just happy, and he was fun to be around.
Are you guys doing any kind of rule changes or sanctioning changes for 2013, or are you going to stick with NASCAR?
We're going to stick with NASCAR and our weekly races and all that stuff, and see if we can make that work. The only rule changes we got in the late models, we're going to, if they want to do a tire check, it's up to, get the tires checked for if there's softening compound or anything like that. It's up to a driver protest to get that done. But other than that, we're going to stay the same. We're going to run with the crate motors and field motors and honor what I-80's running and what, for miles, but now.
IMCA.
No. IMCA. IMCA, yes.
Are you going to run the quick changes in your modifieds out there like I-80 is?
I don't think so, because I talked to a lot of people, and I'd have nobody that really was in favor of it. I can understand you guys got a lot of cars coming from Iowa and stuff, but I'm going to stay with what I had this last year and see if we can work in with a quick change maybe down the road. But for right now, I'm going to stay the way we were.
Are you going to allow the crate motor in the modified?
Yes. straight motors and modified.
Where can people go to get information about your schedule? And is there another
drivers or go to Junction Motor Speedway?
When do you think you guys will have the schedule finalized to where you can post her?
It should be up hopefully before the 5th of January.
Okay.
That's when our banquet is, and I want to make sure that we can give them out. If you don't have time to put it on there, it'll be on the 5th. It's on a Saturday. It should be on there by the 7th.
Okay, by that Monday. So, all right then.
Right.
Any other big news? Any changes you guys are doing over there at JMS?
No, just trying to keep everything the same because the crowd has been hurt because there's just too much going on and too many dollars. The working economy is not the best. It's down, and we got to work with what we got, and hopefully we can keep the thing going.
Talking with Delmer Friesen of Junction Motor Speedway on the front stretch, presented by Koziski Auto Parts. Delmer, I had a question, but then I lost it.
Have you heard any new cars coming to the track this year, Delmer?
2 or 3 late models that might possibly be coming, but you never know until the thing happens. I'm sure we'll pick up A-Mod, because Mid-Nebraska's not running A-Mod this year. I'm hoping we'll pick up 4 or 5 of them there on a weekly deal. During a given week, we might pick up 7 or 8, but I'm hoping we'll pick up 4 or 5 that show up every week. I've talked to several people, and 7 or 8 of them committed to come, but until the races start, you never know who shows up for sure.
You just got done mentioning about the economy and how tough it's been trying to get butts in seats. Are you running any kind of specials this year? Maybe any kind of specials on season passes or anything like that to try to generate a little bit more revenue?
I did that last year, and I had no success in doing that. I had $75 season tickets out there, and it seemed like it didn't want to work, and so we went back to $175 for a weekly. For all the races, but then if we have we're going to go to $10 this year, and if we have a race that's more than $10, they got to update the ticket.
Okay.
So the tickets are good for everything other than what we don't sponsor, like the World of Outlaws.
Okay, so a regular ticket for a weekly race there is, again, how much?
$10.
$10 to get in there and watch the races.
Right, and they can come to any race, any special race like the SLMR nights will be a little higher, and King of the Hill, obviously, and those kind of things. But it doesn't make any difference what day or what time we run the thing. Those tickets are good. They just have to update. I pay the upcharge.
Dan, I'll tell you, I've been to Delmer's track a number of times. Andrew's raced there a number of times, and if you want to see a real classy place in the Midwest here, if you ever get time, get on out there. I know you've been to Denison. I know you've been to a few of the tracks, Eagle and I-80 and a few of them, but you need to go down and see Junction Motor Speedway. It's just 5 miles south of York, right off the interstate. And it is a nice place.
Well, I'd like to. You're going to race there again this year, Andrew?
I'm a toss-up right now for everything I'm doing. I don't know anything right now.
Okay.
It's not in the plans, but I will be there at some time this year.
Okay.
But yes, it is a very nice place, and I love going there.
And Andrew's trying to do a little sponsor deal, and it's not to race as much weekly with the crate cars. So if he gets the sponsor deal, that might change his mind. That's what he's trying to say, and
I see.
He doesn't know exactly how it's going to work out. So for right now, he's just kind of up in the air. He's still got all of his crate cars sitting at home in the garage ready to go racing until he hears different.
I see. Well, Delmer, thanks so much for sitting down and talking with us. Again, JunctionMotorSpeedway.com is where you can get the schedule. I believe you guys also have a Facebook page, and you said that hopefully you'll have your 2013 schedule posted by January 7th at the latest, right?
Right. We should have everything done by then unless something happens. But right now, that's our schedule, and our banquet's on January 5th. I want everything done by then and how our weekly stuff works and stuff like that for the different people, and we've pretty well got all our specials booked. So
then you can kick your feet up and then relax for a little bit, right?
Yeah, and then you got to start working.
Thanks again for joining us. We really do appreciate it. Delmer, have a great night and have a Happy New Year.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Delmer Friesen of Junction Motor Speedway in McCool there on the phone with us, talking a little bit about the 2013 season. We'll be right back here on the front stretch. We're going to talk with Alan Wisman of, what's the track there in Lexington? What's the name of it?
Lexington, Dawson County Speedway.
Dawson County Speedway, that's right. So we'll talk with Alan just here in a little bit. This is the front stretch presented by Koziski Auto Parts on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
The Silver Dollar Nationals are returning to I-80 Speedway on July 18th, 19th, and 20th. Don't miss the nation's top USMTS, MLRA, and Lucas Oil dirt late model racers as they compete at Nebraska's fastest track. Come watch the nation's best dirt track racers compete for a $27,000 to win payout. Ticket prices and packages at 402-342-3453. The third annual Silver Dollar Nationals at I-80 Speedway, July 18th, 19th, and 20th.
Kosiski Auto Parts is the Metro's premier auto parts store. Located at 50th and I Street, Kosiski Auto Parts will help you find the replacement part you need to get back on the road. Give one of their experienced salespeople a call today at 731-4592. Let Kosiski Auto Parts and Team PRP find your quality used replacement parts. Kosiski Auto Parts offers warranties on all parts that leave their store, so you have peace of mind. Open Monday to Friday, 8 to 5:30, or 24 hours a day at Kosiski.com.
Are you ready for fast-paced, adrenaline-pumping, wheel-to-wheel racing right here in the Metro? Get to Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs and see what it's like to race real go-karts. Joe's Karting knows it's no fun to race go-karts at 10 miles per hour, so they ripped the governors out, and now the only restriction is how good you are at racing. It's full-throttle, white-knuckle racing every day of the week. Head over to joeskarting.com for hours, prices, and specials, or give Buddy a call today and set up your group races at 712-256-5278.
This is The Front Stretch on AM 590, powered by Kosiski Auto Parts. Quality used parts at an affordable price. Now, back to The Front Stretch.
Welcome back to The Front Stretch, presented by Kosiski Auto Parts, 51st and I Street in Omaha. Joined on the phone by Alan Wisman of Dawson County Raceway. Thanks for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule. How's your holiday season been so far?
It's been good. Too many meals and ate too much food this Christmas holiday season.
Now, there's something to say is too much.
Oh, yeah, it's too much. We got so many good cooks in the family, it's hard to quit that one.
I went home a couple of nights feeling so miserable. It took me about a day and a half to get back to normal, but yeah. I know the feeling. So
hold on, Dan will never be normal.
I guess normal for me.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Dawson County Raceway. How'd your season go this year? Talk about some of the ups.
We had a really good year last year for being out here in the Midwest of Nebraska, I guess. We averaged about 70 cars a night, actually, and we run 5 different classes, and we had pretty good turnout in each class. So it was a good year. We had good attendance, and got a lot of great racers out here that come out and support our track every week.
Your banquet was on December 15th, handed out all your awards. So usually banquet time is when tracks are ready to release their 2013 schedule. So is it out yet?
Yeah, we've just been working on it here the last couple of weeks, and actually this was kind of early for us to get things as far as long as we have for next year already, but everybody's been real good about getting things put together and pretty darn excited for next year to come around.
Well, let's talk about next year. What do you have going on for 2013? Let's talk about your weekly racing to start with. How's that going to go? Any changes for next year, or are we going to stick to the way we did it in 2012?
Well, we're going to stay at the same classes that we did last year. We're IMCA sanctioned class, and so we run the Sport Compacts, which we just started last year. We've got a lot more interest in it this year, so we're going to continue them. And then we run the IMCA hobby stocks. We run our IMCA stock cars and the Northern Sport mods, of course, the modified. So those are going to be our classes pretty much every week, except for when we run specials, and we'll probably let the Sport Compact stay home that week, and tonight we run specials.
How many specials you got lined up for this year, Alan?
Well, we got the United Rebel Sprint Series, the 305 Sprint cars. They're going to come twice next year, where they're going to be actually on our opening night on May 5th, and then they're going to come back on July 14th. Then our really big race that we put together here a couple weeks ago and really excited about. We've kind of been known out in our area for having a great late model track. Late models used to be a big thing out in our area, and they kind of dropped them in numbers, and they just kind of discontinued them, and we started having them back a couple years ago with the SLMRs, and we got the SLMRs coming, and then we also got the DMRs coming from the Colorado-Wyoming area. It's going to come back on June 2nd, the big night of racing, and then we've got Mid-Nebraska Speedway runs the Grand National late models, and we're going to have them August 11th. So that's kind of be our big specials for next year. something we got on the works for next year that I've never done before is we're going to run Memorial Day. We run the Sunday before, and then Memorial Day, where I'm going to put together something kind of unique and special, I guess, something I've always wanted to do in bottom of my heart. We're going to have a Racers Memorial race that day on Memorial Day and honor some of the fallen race car drivers that have competed in our track the last few years and either have passed away or been severely injured or something in car accidents. So we just kind of want to honor their memories, and we're going to try and put that together for Memorial Day.
Talking on the phone right now on the front stretch with Alan Wisman of Dawson County Raceway in Lexington, Nebraska. Any rule changes for 2013, Alan?
There's some new rules that IMC come out with some of the classes, and some of them dealing with the crate motors mostly and the modifieds. But there's just, probably a dozen different things that I can't tell you all of them off the top of my head, but I know a person can go to the IMCA website and get all the updates for new rules for 2013.
Well, what a night for B-Mod Bud to be absent. He could have spouted those rules off like on the back of his hand. But yeah, normally we have a fourth guy in the studio, but he had a scheduling conflict, so wasn't able to make it tonight. He's a regular IMCA driver. So any other specials you got going on for 2013? What about ticket specials, packaging specials, stuff like that?
No, we just kind of go for our, regular pricing. For regular nights, we're going to stick with the $10 a night for adults and $5 for kids on regular nights of racing. And we'll do, like on our sprint cars and the Grand National 8-mile race, we'll do $15 for adults and $8 for kids. And then for our SLMR race on June 2nd, we'll do $20 for adults and $10 for kids that night. And kind of been working good, and everybody seems to be happy with those amounts. So I guess we'll pretty much stay the same as we've been doing in the past.
I know here at Dawson County, I raced there last year in the SLMR race. This place is awesome, Dan. You got to see it. They have a concrete pits. I mean, real nice. It kind of looks like it used to be maybe an old horse track, maybe. I'm not 100% sure, but it's a real nice setup for how the track is in the middle of Lexington. One thing I noticed last year, you guys first off have a radio show out there you do, which I got to be on that, which was really cool. But you guys also had like a band, I think it was before the race or after the race. Do you guys do that every week, or was that just for a special? You brought like a light band in, and I mean they did a lot of neat stuff for that special. I just didn't know.
Yeah, that's just something we just did for the late model race. We just want to, we're awful honored to have all the late model racers come out there that weekend, and we just want to try to make it as fan-friendly and fun for the fans to come out and enjoy it. So we want to make it as big as day as we can out of it. And we got a gal that helps me a lot on the track. That she's tied in with a radio station out of Broken Bow, and she does a weekly pre-race radio program, and she does an awesome job on that. And so it gives a lot of our local listeners a chance to kind of listen to and some of the drivers and find out, what our drivers are doing during the week and what they're doing in their own lives. So it's been really great program for us.
Coming up in just a little bit, we're going to talk with Kelly Boen, who is a big-time driver on here. Did he ever come and race at Dawson?
He's been there. It's been a few years since he's been there, but I remember Kelly used to race out there, and he's come a long ways over his career, and he's to be an outstanding driver. I know that.
With the SLMR series coming out there, I know they've been there the last couple of years. It's been really, really good racing, Dan. I've been out there watching it for the last couple of years, and tell you what, they do a good job preparing the track, and they have an excellent race show. I mean, if there's any listeners, I know this station gets almost to Lexington area, gets out past Grand Island. So any of the listeners out that way, that if you want to see a great show, when they get there on June 2nd, I know that they're teaming up with Donovan Speedway is going to run Saturday night, so I think that's going to make a few more cars follow the series. And then them guys are coming in from Colorado. They've got that, it used to be called the Colorado Late Models. They're coming for that weekend also, so I think we're going to see 8 or 10 of those guys come in. I think it's going to be a great race. I'm excited about that weekend. I think it's going to be one of the better weekends of the year.
The track's not quite...
I agree with you.
I mean, like he was saying before, it is a really fast racetrack. It doesn't look like it was right when you walk up to it, you look at it. It doesn't look like a big Knoxville I-80 kind of look to it. But that thing is really fast, and the neat part about it is those guys do go 2 and 3 wide. That definitely, it's skinny, but like you said earlier, it is a late model racetrack. They go 2-3 wide, they're like it's nothing.
What's the length on that track, Alan?
Well, we call it a 3/8. I kind of call it a big 3/8, but it's 3/8, and like I say, it's the track. You look at it, like you say, it's kind of deceiving, but it's got big sweeping corners in it, and they carry an awful lot of speed through it. I raced for 15 years, and I've been on a lot of tracks throughout the Midwest, and Lexington's still one of the fastest tracks I've ever been on, and I can't give enough credit to our drivers. If I can do my job right and get the track prep right, these guys are running 3 and 4 or 5 wide sometimes. I've got a picture on my desk at home that's got a modifieds, and there's 6 across going through the corners staggered, and, it's just, if I can get the track to do it, be right. They put on such an awesome racing program, and I'm pretty biased to our track, but the drivers in our area, they do an awesome job putting on a show week after week out there.
Well, we'll let it slide that you're a little biased towards your track.
What got on this radio show is, being part of the SLMR series. This show's put on by Koziski Auto Parts, and being part of the SLMR series, they're trying to get all the track promoters, to be able to talk about their racing program and what they got going on for 2013. Kind of a little perk for having an SLMR race, and we're happy to have you as part of the SLMR series, Alan. You don't really know how much we do appreciate it, you putting on the great show and great track you do out there.
Talking more about Dawson County Raceway, when does your season officially kick off? Have you got a beginning of your weekly schedule?
We're going to start with April 28th, and we're going to have our test and tune day, kind of a fun day to start things out, and we'll start racing May 5th, and then we've got to take a couple weeks off for Mother's Day and graduations, and so we're kind of skip a couple weeks there in May, and then we go to that Memorial Day weekend and race 2 nights there, and then we go to June, and we'll race June 2nd, take a week off, and then we'll 16th and 23rd and 30th that month, and then we'll take a couple of weeks of mid-season break and go back to July 14th, 21st, and 28th, and then we'll take a break and then finish up on August on 11th, and we'll have our championship night on August 18th.
All right. Where can people go to get more information about your track?
You can go to DawsonCountyRaceway.com. That's our website there, or else you can go. IMC's got a link there that if you look up the local tracks, and that's hooks up to our link on our website. Again,
DawsonCountyRaceway.com. Alan Wisman from Dawson County Raceway in Lexington, Nebraska. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Front Stretch. We appreciate it, man.
Appreciate you talking to us, and looking forward to seeing you guys this summer. And thanks to all your listeners for supporting the great racing program.
Well, thanks for everything you guys do out there, and I hope to see you down at your track. I hope to make it out there this year.
All right, sounds good.
That was Alan Wisman of Dawson County Raceway here on the Front Stretch, presented by Koziski Auto Parts. Just around the corner, Legends of the Dirt Series continues. It's going to be Kelly Boen, presented by Koziski Auto Parts, 51st and I Street in Omaha. It's AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
Are you ready for fast-paced, adrenaline-pumping, wheel-to-wheel racing right here in the Metro? Get to Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs and see what it's like to race real go-karts. Joe's Karting knows it's no fun to race go-karts at 10 miles per hour, so they ripped the governors out, and now the only restriction is how good you are at racing. It's full-throttle, white-knuckle racing every day of the week. Head over to joeskarting.com for hours, prices, and specials, or give Buddy a call today and set up your group races at 712-256-5278.
We have all been there before. Broken car part in your hand and some snot-nosed punk behind the counter has no idea what he is talking about, but he guarantees that this part will fix your car. You pay an arm and a leg for the replacement, get it home, and sure enough, it doesn't fit your car. Now, learn from your mistake and give an experienced salesperson at Koziski Auto Parts a call today at R02-342-3453. Koziski Auto Parts will get you back on the road with your arms and legs still attached.
The Silver Dollar Nationals are returning to I-80 Speedway on July 18th, 19th, and 20th. Don't miss the nation's top USMTS, MLRA, and Lucas Oil dirt late model racers as they compete at Nebraska's fastest track. Come watch the nation's best dirt track racers compete for a $27,000 to win payout. Ticket prices and packages at 402-342-3453. The third annual Silver Dollar Nationals at I-80 Speedway, July 18th, 19th, and 20th.
You're listening to The Front Stretch on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio. Brought to you by Koziski Auto Parts and Team PRP. Premium recycled parts at an affordable price.
Welcome back to the Front Stretch. This is Dan Taylor, joined as always, Buddy Ray and Joe Koziski. This is the Legends of the Dirt series, and on the phone with us, already an interesting conversation off the air. I can only imagine what's going to happen on the air. Mr. Excitement himself, Kelly Boen. How are you doing, Kelly?
Well, I'm doing great. I'm out here in God's country. Merry Christmas to everybody. I hope everything's going well for everybody out there.
The night we did this interview, we all managed to get dug out of Snowmageddon 2012. Well, all of us except for one. I think Andrew got dug out, but he got drug into Christmas shopping, so he wasn't able to make it. But little old Ford Ranger of mine, which everyone's been giving me crap about, made it just fine. Bud, you had some trouble though, right? That old Dodge had to get dug out of his driveway.
Yeah.
Well, you got to invest in a government motors vehicle if you really want to, get somewhere in the snow. So you guys should keep that in mind as you work forward.
Kelly, we were trying to come up with all the different nicknames you've got. Mr. Excitement, the Bonehead.
Yeah, he's Legion of fans known as the Boneheads. I'm a faithful bonehead myself.
You can call you old 9-time because you've won 4 championships in one division, 5 in another division. I'm sure Joe's got some nicknames for you.
Hey.
I think Kelly is a true friend. Kelly is a great guy, and you know what? The people that don't know Kelly is the ones that's got it wrong.
Well, Kelly.
Well, now, I don't know about that. That's still up for discussion. That's absolutely up for discussion.
Some of them may have it spot on then, huh?
Yeah, a lot of them probably got it right, and a lot of people just don't know it. I mean, my mom's come to my house before with page after page of things off the internet, and she's been in tears, and she'll come over, and I'll look at some of that stuff, and I'll say, Mom, a lot of that stuff's true, and then she gets mad at me and leaves.
Well, that's really funny, because Joe just got off the phone. Apparently, he's buying another racetrack.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, dang. I tried to talk him and his brother, and try to talk some sense into them about these racing things. They need to get into Amway or, some kind of multi-level marketing rather than this racing business. There's just no money in this racing thing.
Kelly, don't believe I'm not buying another racetrack. I actually told the guy.
Thank goodness. I was going to have to fly out there and talk to you.
When he asked me, would you like to buy my racetrack, I looked at him and I says, what part of stupid would I be?
The whole part.
I think one night you tried to sell me I-80.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, well, you gotta pay somebody to take it, but hey, if you get somebody in the right mood, maybe they'll take the money in the track.
I think the right mood includes a keg of beer.
Yeah, well, racing is such a great thing, and a lot of people get a lot out of it. It just, trying to promote a racetrack and racing, I honestly can't imagine how taxing that must be. And, I've talked to Steve and Joe about it a lot, and I don't know how they've done it. And my hat is off to them both. I love them both dearly, and they're great friends of mine. And, I just, for business decision-wise, I could really, really have a tough time myself running a racetrack.
So, Kelly, let's get started with your career. You've had a pretty illustrious career. You've been winning for years on years, 4 national championships in one division, 5 national championships in another. You've dominated inside and out, up in Colorado, down here in the Midwest. So talk about what got you started in dirt racing and what got you introduced into it.
Well, when I was, before I was a teenager, one of my dad's friends had a race car, and he helped me. He let me work on it, let me help him a little bit, and then one day he let me drive it at the racetrack, and I must have been going, all of about 11 miles an hour, and I don't know, after that, I just wanted to build one, so I started when I was barely a teenager building one, and I don't know, the next thing you know, I've got this old 68 Chevelle, and, I ran sportsman cars for a few years, and then I got into modified racing, and next thing I know, I'm modified racing and late model racing, and, I've been going at this since 1980, and it's been I don't regret much of it. It's been a really, really fun time.
Kelly, how old are you? Because I thought you're like 35 or 40. You look as young as they come.
Well, my wife's 29, or that's what she likes everybody for the last 15 or so years. But
she celebrated her 29th birthday several times.
Yes, multiple times. But I'm looking down the barrel of 50, so I don't know. I think of all the different race trips and all the times I've been up and down I-80 and I-70, back and forth to the racetrack, and it's hard to believe that it's been this long, and I've been that many trips up and down I-80 and I-70.
Kelly, I'll tell you, there's a lot of people back this way, and I know that some days you don't believe it because of them things that you get to read on the internet, but there's a lot of people back this way that really would love to see Kelly Boen back in a race car. Bud here thinks Kelly Bowen's the greatest in the world, so you do know that. I mean, he would rather talk to you. When we said Scott Bloomquist, he says, what about Kelly Bowen? When we said Jimmy Owens, he says, what about Kelly Bowen? It just kept going that way. I says, he's coming. Look, we got him on the list here. We got to get to him is all.
Well, I get along great with Jimmy and Scott. Scott has never given me a hard time, and any time that I've ever outrun Scott, I've known it immediately because he showed up in my pit. So, the very few times I've outran him, I don't even have to think about whether I did it or not because he'll be there looking at my car either that day or the next day.
Stealing the setup?
Whatever. I don't know. I think he wants to see if there's some kind of a robot there driving it, or I don't know. But he's been cordial to me all the time. I've never had a problem with that guy or Jimmy. Jimmy is a wonderful guy. I've pitted with him. I've raced with him. And, Jimmy really has been a friend, and he's a great guy.
Well, both of those guys will be on the Legends of the Dirt series coming up in the next couple of weeks as we continue this series. And we're talking with Kelly Boen, Mr. Excitement himself. Talk about your first national win in 1996. You got your first IMCA Nationals win in an A-Mod. Talk about that win.
Well, that was a crazy weekend. I went to that place kind of on a whim at the last minute. Nobody'd ever even really heard of me when I got there. Nobody had the first clue who I was. I brought some homemade race car there. and ended up winning the Super Nationals and the Race of Champions that week. And then after that, it was a really, really cool thing. But then after that, every time I went somewhere, they would, claim my engine, and so really that's kind of what put me out of modified racing, because I got tired of taking the engine out of my car. I'd run fourth sometimes and get my engine claimed. So it just, it kind of ended up ruining the modified series for me.
Are you a fan of that claiming?
No, I'm not a fan of IMCA, period. I'm not a fan of claiming. I'm not a fan of any of it. But, my stuff was all homemade, and that was kind of the problem is, we built all the engines for that thing. In my garage, we had our little homemade dyno that we'd run them on, because inevitably we'd end up with a cracked cylinder head or, something, because we're building them with wrecking yard parts, and, that stuff's just not very reliable. So, long story short, it was...
Whoa. Wrecking yard parts aren't reliable.
Salvage yard.
But they are reliable. We give warranties on them parts, Kelly. We give warranties.
Slip of the tongue.
I want to say a big thank you to our sponsor.
The language we use out here in this region is a little different than the Nebraska area.
Joe, do you ship to Colorado, Henderson, Colorado?
We ship to Colorado, but at the time, Kelly didn't know who he was to buy the parts from us.
Well, when you make your return to the dirt track, Kelly, now you can call Joe and get some parts.
Well, I actually bought parts from them guys, but nothing for race cars. They've sent stuff out here for me for different vehicles that I've either worked on or, my relatives or stuff I've had. But, back then, there was plenty of stuff around at the salvage yards where we could just get them. And, it seems like, that train has kind of dried up. Those kind of parts just are hardly even available anymore.
Kelly, I want to go back to the claim, and you say you're not a big fan of it. When you had mentioned that sometimes you'd finish fourth in a feature and you're still getting your motor claimed, how many times did you actually go back and beat that guy with your motor?
Well, I never kept track of that kind of stuff. I just tried to forget about it, but I got claimed so many times, and it's so much hard work. To leave a racetrack without your engine under the hood and $325, you just can't keep doing that for very long, because it doesn't take anybody with any common sense to realize you can't build anything for $325.
I think the current claim nowadays is, $550 in IMCA, and you can't even buy a set of heads for that, let alone the cams and pistons and all that stuff.
Yeah, I was always, and I used to kind of know those guys from IMCA a little bit, and I was always the guy that said, look, why don't you just do a $300 swap? And I wouldn't have cared one bit if they'd have done that. But, this business of leaving with no engine whatsoever, and, somebody could barely stay on the lead lap, no offense, but it got real frustrating after you lose about a dozen of those. You're done. I just couldn't do it anymore. I'm already, miles and miles and miles away from all the races and trying to build everything and travel up and down the freeways and, pay for everything out of my pocket. I never actually had a sponsor, so it got to the point where my fun meter was pegged the wrong direction.
Well, let's talk about that segue into the late model race. And I know when we were at I-80 Speedway, we never heard of who Kelly Boen was, and this was 4 or 5 years ago, I want to say. My dad is jumping up and down like an 8-year-old kid. Here's this guy in this bright red and white 07 late model. You're levitating off the ground, it looks like. You're so fast going into turn 3, and Dad's like, who in the hell is that? Who is that? Is that some NASCAR driver? And I was like, I don't know who he is, but man, you were putting on a show that night. Kind of give us a background history into that segue going into the late models.
Well, when you get to be my age, you can't really remember that far back, I worry day to day about throwing out a hip, but
oh my God!
But I've raced a lot of races at I-80, and I've had the ultimate highs and the ultimate lows from that place. Let me tell you, and I miss that place. But there's certain people there that I do not miss. There's certain racers there that I just don't miss racing with, and it's not just there. Just racing with them in general. So, but I've had a lot of fun nights at I-80, and of course, having Joe and Steve, that own that place, as close friends, made it even more special. But I've had a lot of good nights at I-80, and those are the ones I remember, and I tend to forget the ones that weren't so favorable.
Well, if you had to pick one night at I-80, which one would it be?
Well, one night at I-80, boy, oh boy, I've had a lot of good nights. I remember there was a red flag one night when me and Al Perkey were racing for a championship, and I sat there on that red flag, and it was lap number 33 that was the red flag, and I was leading, and I was thinking, and it was between me and Al, whoever whoever finished ahead of who was going to win the championship. And he was third, and I was first, and I just sat there on that red flag thinking this has got to be an omen. Lap 33, I'm leading, and then the red flag comes out. So as soon as the thing went back green again, I stuck the belts down, and I got on the wheel with that car and ended up stretching it out and winning the race pretty handily and won the championship. So if I had to pick one, it's probably that one. There was another race there where I led a ton of laps. It was, I think it was a Cornhusker Classic maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and then Burkhofer passed me with 1 to go, and I drove back by him and beat him to the flag and won it, and that was definitely another good night. And then he cried after the race was over. Me and him don't get along at all, and he cried about it a little bit after the race, and that made it even more special.
Well, just so you know, Brian Burkhofer gets to be on this show at one time this year also.
You can tell him I said it. I got one on tape. You can tell him all about it. He could care less. If my face was on fire, he wouldn't stomp it out with a track cleat. So we're on the same page.
So you bet out with a track cleat?
No, he wouldn't do it.
Are you trying to tell us you guys aren't exchanging Christmas cards this season?
I would, but I don't have his address. So there's things that I just don't. I don't get to Muscatine, Iowa a lot, so it's a tough place for me to hang out.
Bud, loves Kelly Boen. It's his favorite driver, and he can hardly wait for him to come back. And that's why we're on this show, is trying to get Kelly to come back and race with us at I-80 Speedway.
I know. I was actually, the Silver Dollar Nationals, that race at I-80 is nothing short of legendary. But it was kind of a downer when I show up this year. I'm like, I keep telling everybody, where's Kelly Boen? Where's Kelly? Who cares? We got Jimmy Owens out here. It's like, Kelly Boen would lap the field. I was like,
yeah, he would. I run that race one time, and I was lucky to make the race. I think I run 10th, and when I left there, my tail was so far between my legs I about tripped over it. So.
Yeah, but you made 10th look fast.
Yeah, well, I don't know. We showed up there, and it was a long story. I didn't have my car, and I was driving for somebody else, and the whole thing come unwound. Showed up late, and it wasn't prepared. And I would have never even stayed for that race if there hadn't been people there that drove out there to watch me. So I sold my truck and trailer to Billy Moyer. He was supposed to supply me with 5 races last year. He never did it. He's called me recently and said, "Look, we're going to get those races in next year. We'll see if he holds true to his word, and if he does, I'll certainly try to make something at I-80 because that's certainly a place I'd like to run. Probably go to Delmer's place and see if we can get a race in there. But I honestly don't have any plans myself to build another car and to race again. But if I ever did my own race program again, you'll see one race car on an open trailer with a red Chevy pickup pulling it, and that's probably about as far as I'm going. But even that's kind of a remote possibility based on the way things are right now.
Well, we've got about 12 minutes left in this interview, and by the end of it, we're going to get you to commit to the 2013 Silver Dollar Nationals one way or another.
I'll tell you what I could do, because, if you want to really focus on my strengths, what I could do is I could actually be the refreshment coordinator at that race and probably supply some, pretty good input.
That wouldn't be as good as watching him on the racetrack.
No, we got to have you on the racetrack.
And I'm sitting there,
I don't know about that.
Kelly,
I could walk up and down the stands with a hat and a tray full of drinks and probably really do some justice to that place.
well, we're sitting there as we're talking. Billy Moyer is going to be on the show later in the year, somewhere right before they go to Daytona, and maybe we'll just bring it up to him that Kelly Boen needs to be here.
Ask him what's going on there, because he certainly had his hands full last year, and I'm not criticizing him. I mean, any fool can criticize people, and most fools do. But he had a whole lot of things happening in his life outside of racing. So, long story short, we just never did put it together. But if he's able to do something, then there's an outside shot that maybe I could show up, a weekend out there.
Let me just ask it like this. We have Mr. Moyer on the show, and I say, Billy, look, you just bring a car to I-80. You let Kelly Boen run it at the Silver Dollar Nationals 3, and he says, I'll have a car there. Will you drive the car?
Yes, I will.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
And I'm just dumb enough to ask the question on air.
We will make sure when we talk to Billy he pencils you in. Now, he puts it in stone, July 19th and 20th, to get you out there for the Silver Dollar Nationals.
If he agrees to do it, I'll send out a seat to Steve Norris. Me and him are good buddies, and he'll put her in, and I'll be happy to fly out there and sit behind the wheel of that thing and see if we can give it a ride.
Well, now I'm getting even more excited. For
you're getting more excited. I can't sit still over here.
I'm going to get ready to bid on that helmet for the holiday horsepower drive.
There you go.
This year, Bud did something really.
I can't sit still either, but it's mostly because I think I just wet myself a little bit. It happens when you get to be my age.
Mr. Excitement is now going to be sponsored by Depends.
Hey, if they got the money, I got the time.
Kelly, you had mentioned that one of the reasons why you came out to I-80 Speedway this last time was solely because you knew you had a lot of fans that had shown up. And the one thing I'm doing personally with my sport mod operation, we've invested a lot of sponsorship dollars into re-imaging ourselves with a whole new look and whatnot. As a veteran driver, how important was it to you to brand yourself in the sport of racing?
To me, it's always been a hobby. I mean, I've always enjoyed racing, and I've always done it for my own reasons. I never have really been the guy that wants to sell T-shirts and die casts and all that. I mean, I never have considered myself to be in the league of the guys that do it for a living. From Colorado, it's pretty tough to be a professional racer, if you will. And I've loved it since I was a little kid, and I still love it. It's just been a situation where between the commitment to race at the level that I want to race at, coupled with the money that it takes to do it and the distance that I have to travel to go do it, it's just been it's been very, very difficult to justify that. And that's kind of where I'm at still. My wife had some health issues, and we worked her through that. Got her all got surgery on her back and got her all back up on her feet and going again, and paid all the bills off. So that's kind of behind us. But there's a lot of things that go on when you get further along in life that you got to take into consideration that you don't when you're 20 and you're single and you're young and you want to just go and you don't care what happens tomorrow or the next day.
29 years old and your wife's already got to have back surgery.
Yeah, you believe that?
Oh, boy. You're in for some pain.
Yeah, well, I watched the surgery on her back, and it was barbaric. I mean, they used pliers and hammers and every other thing and big old screws, and it was pretty crazy. So I definitely have some sympathy for that. But long story short, if we can put something together with Billy, we'll come out there and I'll get myself physically prepared, mentally prepared, and I'll get on my go-kart and take some time at the kart track to get myself ready, because I haven't sat in a race car in so long I wouldn't even know which side to get in. But we'll see if that actually happens.
You say you'll sit down in a go-kart. Now, I heard that Joe lapped you 3 times in a 4-lap race in a go-kart out in Denver. Is that true?
Well, it may have had something to do with us bench racing rather than actually being in the cart. Joe and I have had a tendency to sit stand really tall, enjoying some adult beverages once in a while and talking about how great we really are. And then, when reality sets in, both of us are a lap down.
Well, you never really can believe any stories that come out of Bud's mouth when it comes to karting. Bud's a general manager at a local indoor karting track, and maybe if we get you down here for Silver Dollar Nationals, we'll get you a couple of laps on there.
I always enjoy getting on a kart. It doesn't take a lot to talk me into that.
Well, I guarantee you, even if Bud doesn't race, he'll have beat you.
Yeah, well, I don't care if it's a race to the concession stand or to the bathroom. I'll be all in.
Well, I can tell you one thing about Kelly. If he has to run a mile up the mountain in order to be in shape to come to this race, he will do it. He'll ride his bike 10 miles a day for the week heading up to it to do it, and he would go to Joe's Karting and drive around that racetrack 100 times if it took it the day of the show to help get him ready. I just know Kelly that well that that's how he gets himself prepared, not, physically, just in order to make sure he can do it.
We're going to continue our conversation with Kelly right after this. Take a quick break. This is The Front Stretch on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
Kosiski Auto Parts is the Metro's premier auto parts store. Located at 50th and I Street, Kosiski Auto Parts will help you find the replacement part you need to get back on the road. Give one of their experienced salespeople a call today at 731-4592. Let Kosiski Auto Parts and Team PRP find your quality used replacement parts. Kosiski Auto Parts offers warranty warranties on all parts that leave their store, so you have peace of mind. Open Monday to Friday, 8 to 5:30, or 24 hours a day at Kosiski.com.
The Silver Dollar Nationals are returning to I-80 Speedway on July 18th, 19th, and 20th. Don't miss the nation's top USMTS, MLRA, and Lucas Oil dirt late model racers as they compete at Nebraska's fastest track. Come watch the nation's best dirt track racers compete for a $27,000 to win payout. Ticket prices and packages at 402-342-3453. The third annual Silver Dollar Nationals at I-80 Speedway, July 18th, 19th, and 20th.
Are you ready for fast-paced, adrenaline-pumping, wheel-to-wheel racing right here in the Metro? Get to Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs and see what it's like to race real go-karts. Joe's Karting knows it's no fun to race go-karts at 10 miles per hour, so they ripped the governors out, and now the only restriction is how good you are at racing. It's full-throttle, white-knuckle racing every day of the week. Head over to joeskarting.com for hours, prices, and specials, or give Buddy a call today and set up your group races at 712-256-5278.
This is the Front Stretch on AM 590, powered by Kosiski Auto Parts. Quality used parts at an affordable price. Now, back to the Front Stretch.
Welcome back to the Front Stretch, presented by Kosiski Auto Parts, 51st and I Street in Omaha. Get a hold of Kosiski Auto Parts. You can talk to Joe, Andrew, Gary, any one of the guys down there to get your car or truck back on the road with some great quality used parts that you can also throw a full lifetime warranty behind. And Bud just cannot get over this. And you may have doomed yourself, Joe. A couple of weeks ago, you talked about how many batteries you've got and the lifetime warranty on these batteries. If it dies, you bring it in, you'll throw a new battery in there for him.
You know how
He's been on the phone with every dirt track driver he knows, and I think you're going to have a flood.
I don't have a problem with that. Just tell them, come and get their battery.
Well, here's what everybody's telling me. Joe, seriously going to do a lifetime warranty on a battery? I was like, yeah. Well, does that go for race cars? I was like, Joe said if it's a car and it runs off a battery, he don't care.
I don't have a problem. Bring the battery back.
Seriously,
bring the battery back when it goes dead.
I've probably
get another
talked to 50-plus sport compact B-mod drivers.
Yeah, that all fine and well, but I'm not 100% certain that Joe knows what a battery is. So maybe to get this all, you might want to just give him a little picture. He's better with that. So. I love the guy, but there's a few things he needs a little help with.
It doesn't have the word Energizer tattooed on the side of it.
Yeah, we're not talking 9 volt.
Talking with Kelly Boen, continuing our conversation as the Legends of the Dirt Series continues here on the Front Stretch on AM 590. Kelly, you talked about your switch from the A-mods to the late models. Talk about that switch a little bit. I know the inspiration was behind the fact that you were just kind of sick of running A-mods and getting claimed and all the IMCA stuff, so you kind of moved up to late models. Was there a transitional period there for you, or did you hop in it and just go even faster?
Well, I don't know about even faster, but I was running late models and mods at the same time, and it was getting somewhat overwhelming because I'd have to drive up to Rock Springs, or I'd go wherever, Casper, Wyoming, or places like that, and then I'd come back on Saturday and run around here, both classes, both cars. And I was having a good time with it. I mean, it was pretty taxing, but we had a good little rhythm. It was 312 miles to the door, from my door to the gate at the racetrack, and I had that system figured out pretty well. But, after they started claiming me all the time, it got to the point where it just wasn't worth it in the mods anymore, and it was actually a nice little break to just run late models after that. And that's when we stopped running, hardly anything in Denver, and we started running around and, going to other places and really got to, having a decent truck and trailer and, being able to race reasonably competitive, I want to say, when we went to Kansas, Nebraska, Oklahoma, and that kind of stuff. And that's kind of how it happened. I mean, it wasn't really intentional. If they hadn't claimed me all the time, I wouldn't have probably, I wouldn't have raced both, or I wouldn't have stopped racing both. After a while, you just come home with no engine in your car, and you just say, this is just the fun meter's in the wrong direction. So, but racing late models it's just been an unbelievable honor to be able to race with some of the guys I've raced with, and be able to be competitive in some of the races I've been at. And no matter what happens to me, you just can't take away from me the great memories that I have racing, places I-80 and Delmer Friesen's place, and I've enjoyed racing at Belleville, and I like Knoxville and places like that. And it's just, I don't know, it's been a dream come true for me, actually, because I never thought I could, some welder from Colorado was going to be able to go out there and be competitive, racing at places like that.
What was it like the first time you were going out and you're racing guys like Jimmy Owen, Scott Bloomquist, this one guy from Omaha, what's his name? Dan, Joe Koziski, that's it. And then his other brother, what's his, Steve Koziski,
I don't know his other brother's name. I think it starts with an S maybe, but yeah, I remember that guy. He actually got to going with us to Lake Powell, and we started hanging out and doing a lot of fun things. And the last time that Steve raced NCRA, we were able to run with him all year long, and him and I were battling for the championship. It was by far the funnest season of my life because we would race all the time, side by side, and then after the races, we'd have movie night in one of our trucks, mostly ours. We'd have root beer floats, and we'd talk about, all things to do with life and religion and, our beliefs, and it was one of the greatest times of fellowship that I've ever had, and I'll never forget it. It was just a phenomenal season. Down the road, we got to go into Lake Powell together, and we spent a tremendous amount of time doing other things besides racing, and we've had a really, really good time doing a lot of things, and racing included. And that year, I actually won the championship, and Steve run second. I honestly don't know how it happened because by the middle of that season, I could have cared less which one of us won that championship. We were having so much fun, it really was just an absolute moot point.
If my information's correct, you've got the record as the all-time leading winner in the National Championship Racing Association, NCRA, with 59 wins. Is that still accurate?
Well, I don't know if that's accurate, but if you make up a certificate that says that and you take that and $5 into Subway, you can get a foot long.
Don't tell me that. I'll try it.
Yeah.
So are you trying to tell us?
Money for tax.
Are you trying to tell us that the record doesn't really mean that much to you? That it's more of the wins than anything?
I haven't got the first clue what that's all about. NCRA, they just need to focus on making sure they can stay alive. I mean, they've got the same issues that a lot of series have as far as, maintaining car counts and, paying the purses and all that. And I don't have a tremendous amount of an idea. Even I couldn't tell you how many races I've won from them or from anywhere else. All I know is it's just been a great ride. I've enjoyed racing from the very first time I ever got in one until, the last time I raced and got out of one and loaded her in the trailer. So, that stuff is for other people to think about. And I don't know, it never has been something I've focused on.
What is your general opinion on the state of late model racing locally, regionally, and nationally as a whole?
Well, it all ties together with the state of the economy in general in the United States. I mean, if the Midwest in general is doing well economically, then late model racing is going to thrive and it's going to do well. When people are struggling to pay the bills and to come up with money for expensive engines, expensive cars, and travel and such, I mean, it's just like everything else. It's going to really take a hit, and it remains to be seen what will happen in the next couple of years.
Kelly, is there any good stories you've got between Steve, Joe, and yourself that you could share with the rest of us? Because we can't get stories out of this guy.
One good story.
Oh man, I got one, but I'm not 100% sure I should share it. But I'm going to reserve my stories for Joe. Me and Joe will share those in our own time.
Dang it! I was hoping to get some dirt on Joe.
Dang it. You'll have to get Joe to spit those out.
Well, I'm going to call you back off air and find a way to get some of them stories out of you.
All right, we'll talk about it then.
Kelly, thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate you sitting down and helping us out with this Legends of the Dirt series. Thanks so much, and God, we really do hope to see you in 2013. We want to see you down at the Silver Dollar Nationals, and
I'm praying to God.
Anywhere we can see you run.
I'll do my best to at least make a visit there, even if I don't race, because all kidding aside, I really do love those people. The Koziskis have been like family to me for a long, long time, and I miss them dearly. Grace and Bob and all of them, I love them, and I really wish that I could see more of them. So somehow or another, I'll find a way to see them.
Hey, Kelly, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
You guys do the very same thing. I'll look forward to seeing you.
Thanks, Kelly. Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, good night, guys.
That was Kelly Boen. What number did he drive? I didn't even get to that part of it.
07.
The 07. That you did mention that. I'm looking at some of the stats that Lee sent me. 5-time national champion for the
NCRA.
Yep, and then 4-time champion for the National Western Dirt Racing Association.
Yes, sir.
So
He won the Boen Nationals.
Yeah, 9 national championships.
Race
Won
of
the alphabet
Champions.
suit at I-80 in 2010. It'd be great to see him. And really, I mean, I know they're starting to become kind of a grassroots movement. I saw it on Facebook. Your daughter is hardcore to get you into a car again sometime.
It ain't happening.
I tell you, if you're telling your daughter
no. Okay, I want to inject here because I've asked you, Joe, how many times have I asked you, when's Joe going to get back in the car? When's Joe going to get back in the car? Well, you never say never, but you're having so much fun with the I-80 Speedway right now. But you can honestly tell me that if some big-name late model racer didn't offer you a ride, you wouldn't be half tempted to get in the seat?
As soon as somebody buys that racetrack, I might do it, but not until then.
Because I do remember Dan and I were down at Lakeside Speedway earlier this year, and you even mentioned with a sly grin on your face, I could beat half these boys at their own game.
I know. I would love to do it again, Bud. I really would, but I'm getting to that age that I'm where I need to be right now. I'm worried about the racetrack. I want to make the things the best that I can do for the fans. Me and my brother Steve this year, we worked really hard. You know, we got a lot of family that helps out. My mom and dad do a lot of work there at I-80. And, you know, the help, we got good help, very good help. They try their hardest. Now, am I going to say there hasn't been a mistake or two between all of us? Every once in a while there's a mistake and you make a wrong call or you do something. You can't go back and make another call. You've watched it from officials in any sport there is, and it just happens. But you know what? There isn't one racer that I enjoy or like any more than another racer. I like them all. They're all there to do the best. And because I've done it, I can understand what their passion is when they're there doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Well, it would be great to see you back into the car, and it's going to be a personal goal of mine because as everyone's well versed on this, I'm new to this series, and I haven't got to see you race, and I hear all of these great stories about how great Joe Koziski is, and I've never seen you behind a wheel. So
you're missing a treat.
Thanks, I appreciate you throwing that back at me one more time. So I'm trying. It's hopefully
missing a legend driving.
Shut
Don't miss out. Don't miss out on the Christmas pie because you'll at least get a treat.
I have never missed out on Christmas pie. That's something that my gut and I have made sure is on the schedule every Christmas day.
You know, I do remember the first time I seen Kelly Boen out at I-80 Speedway. I thought Kelly Boen was going to be some 6'3", 250-pound linebacker with the California swag and, you know, flowing hair, kind of almost like a Scott Bloomquist, a younger version. Dan, I think you have more hair on your body than Kelly Boen does.
Well, that's not saying much because I'm Welsh. I'm bald everywhere but on top of my head.
Kelly Boen is about as big as my pinky, about as bald as they come, and he's probably one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
Don't make fun. I'm learning right now. Don't make fun of the bald guys because you're going to join them one of these days.
I'm not making fun of him. He'd kick my butt in a race car any day.
Well, again, we want to send our big thanks to Kelly Boen for joining us as a part of the Legends of the Dirt series. We've had some great interviews on Kelly Shryock. We've had we've done the interviews with Jimmy Owens and Scott Bloomquist, which we'll be playing later next year. Got Billy Moyer lined up, Brian Burkhofer, working on Doug Wolfgang, and so many great drivers that we're working on and have already interviewed. So this is going to be a great series. We're so excited to start 2013 off with a bang, and you're just going to have to pay attention to our Facebook page as we'll post who's going to be the first interview in 2013. We hope you had a tremendous 2012. I can't wait for New Year's in 2013 because if it's anything like 2012, I'm in for a hell of a ride. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for joining us. This has been The Front Stretch on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
The Silver Dollar Nationals are returning to I-80 Speedway on July 18th, 19th, and 20th. Don't miss the nation's top USMTS, MLRA, and Lucas Oil dirt late model racers as they compete at Nebraska's fastest track. Come watch the nation's best dirt track racers compete for a $27,000 to win payout. Ticket prices and packages at 402-342-3453. The third annual Silver Dollar Nationals at I-80 Speedway, July 18th, 19th, and 20th.
We have all been there before. Broken car part in your hand and some snot-nosed punk behind the counter has no idea what he is talking about, but he guarantees that this part will fix your car. You pay an arm and a leg for the replacement, get it home, and sure enough, it doesn't fit your car. Now, learn from your mistake and give an experienced salesperson at Koziski Auto Parts a call today at R02-342-3453. Koziski Auto Parts will get you back on the road with your arms and legs still attached.
Are you ready for fast-paced, adrenaline-pumping, wheel-to-wheel racing right here in the Metro? Get to Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs and see what it's like to race real go-karts. Joe's Karting knows it's no fun to race go-karts at 10 miles per hour, so they ripped the governors out, and now the only restriction is how good you are at racing. It's full-throttle, white-knuckle racing every day of the week. Head over to joeskarting.com for hours, prices, and specials, or give Buddy a call today and set up your group races at 712-256-5278.